You were created to make a sound, not just to echo the noise. Welcome to the Amplified Era podcast. I am your host, Nadia Morris. I am here to help you push past the fear, identify the silence, and birth the purpose you've been carrying. We are leaving the safety of the shadows and stepping into the spotlight of your destiny. This is season 1, The Great Unmuzzling. So if you are ready to take the mute button of your life, let's get to work. This is take 2 because apparently I've been speaking for over 20 minutes and now we have to re-record this video. So bear with me today. So this is strictly for YouTube. I don't know, maybe we'll have other things to talk about in this episode, but welcome to another episode of the Amplified Era podcast. I am your host, Nadia Morris, also known as Nadia the Purpose Midwife. And so if I say this to you, that your vision needs a non-disclosure agreement. What are we going to talk about today? We are talking about strategic silence versus forced silence. Why? Because not everybody deserves a seat at your planning table. Not everybody. And we know the dangers of making announcements. We know the dangers, right? Because it is easy to do. And last week we built the plan. You had your first CEO meeting, you defined the scope, and if you're like most women, and I am guilty of it as well, the very next thing you want to do is that you want to text the group chat about that new thing that you're gonna do. You're gonna call up your relatives, gonna call everybody that you know to talk about this new thing that you have to do. And some of us even go as far as running to social media and put that coming soon. Yeah, coming soon posts to tell the person that you're building. And I just want to say stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. So today we are talking about how your mouth can be your biggest liability to your mission. So, welcome to episode 6, and we are locking the boardroom doors and discussing strategic silence. And I want to clarify between the need to stay quiet. It is not that you're regressing into the nice girl era where you are afraid of, speaking. We're not doing that. I want to distinguish between forced silence, which we spoke about in phase 1, and forced silence is when you are quiet because you're afraid of what people will think and you're shrinking. And this is simply the enemy's muzzle. Strategic silence, however, is what we'll discuss in phase 2, is where you are quiet because that plan is now classified and you are building. So this is like an executive NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. And I want to talk about as well when a woman is in her first trimester of pregnancy, she usually does not announce it to the world. And why is that? Because the baby is in a fragile state of development, and your God-given assignment works the exact same way. And I can testify to that because when I was pregnant with my second child, my daughter, I would have seen in dreams and visions. First of all, the Lord told me the gender in a dream already. That is a girl that you're having, and she's gonna be the exact replica of her brother. Couldn't forget it. But then I started to get sick in the first trimester, and I would have gone to, I think it would have been the first ultrasound that would have been required to kind of see what's going on, because you'd have just, found out that you were expecting. So I went and I figured, oh, I was sick. And so the first thing the technician asked me was if I was bleeding at any point in time. I'm like, what are you talking about? It was an empty sack. Empty. Let's talk about empty sack. And she's like, oh, I think you may need to come back again for us to test to see if anything is gonna be there. No, ma'am. Instead of crying and taking up the phone and telling people what was going on, before I even got to my car, I reminded God that, hi, you sent me these dreams and visions. You told me it was a girl. I even saw at one point there was this navy polka dot dress that I saw in a dream, that she was running around in my mom's house, playing, and my mom bought that same navy polka dot dress with white dots in it. So anyhow, what am I saying is that your gun given assignment, sometimes you have to work it the same way, where you stop inviting the public into your first trimester. We all know about Joseph, the Joseph mistake, and yes, it his situation worked for his good, but it could have been avoided. And we know all things work together for good, but not all of us are like a Joseph, who God set it up in a way where he went to Egypt and in the end would have saved his family. But there is a trap of oversharing, because we overshare usually because we're looking for validation, that the idea is a good one, because we don't fully trust our own authority as yet. And with Joseph, God had given him a dream. It's a God-given dream, and we understand the story of Joseph, even the multiple dreams, and when he would have shared these dreams with his brothers, they they were not having it, right? And so you are sharing this dream now that you're having with your brothers, men who are already jealous, right? And not having the spiritual capacity to handle Joseph's vision. So what happened instead? It got him thrown into a pit. And what am I trying to say to you is that sharing that multi-million dollar or God-sized vision with small-minded people will always trigger an attack. Have you ever noticed that sometimes when you share something that is about to happen, the minute you share it with certain people, it starts to fall apart? I can remember the first time I was venturing out to buy a different vehicle. The process was going smoothly. When I say smoothly, and we know with government, they have a concession process, and it was going smoothly until I mentioned it to someone who was a friend. And the minute I said it, let me tell you, all of a sudden, the concession process stalled. Everything just went haywire with the vehicle. And I'm like, wow. And the Holy Spirit said, yeah, why you talk about it? Why did you share it? I didn't tell you to share. You must wait until it park up outside that you share these things. And so I've taken that on. More recently, I've been more private, not sharing certain things, because some things are just sacred between you and God anyways. So some things I just don't step out and share. And you also have to understand the rule of capacity, that you cannot share your blueprint with people who have never built anything. Why? Because they're going to project their fears, their limitations, and this practicality onto your divine assignments. And I can always reference how God gives you these visions and blueprints that nobody else understands. And the minute you share it, they're gonna ask you 10 million questions about why, who said you should do it. And God is saying, but I didn't ask you to share with anybody. You need to be obedient and do what needs to be done. It's the same thing. And I've learned it over the years when planning the Beautiful Ashes, anything at all that I'm planning for execution, um, seeking the Lord for the details of the event, so I know exactly where I am and what I am doing. And so, if God has said this is the venue, this is the topic, these are the speakers, that is exactly what I'm working with. I am not asking persons for any feedback on what God has said, because God has said it, right? So that's the stance that we need to take. Most times, God has said it, and we leave it there. All right. So, building your board of directors, and this is just a strategy how to categorize the people in your life during the building phase. Tier one, and there are three tiers. Tier 1, these are the builders, and very minute percentage, 1%. And these are people who are actively helping you to execute what you are seeking to roll out. It could be your mentor, your purpose midwife, right? And these are the people that get the blueprint of what God is doing. And then for tier 2, you have the cheerleaders. And this is maybe about the 10%, your friends and your family who love you. They, however, don't get the blueprints, unfortunately. They get a high level summary of what is going on. So it could be, I'm working on a new project, I'm just excited about it, and that is all that you're gonna share, right? Because sometimes it's best left, I'm working on a new project at some point in time. And the other tier is the consumers, the public. They get absolutely nothing. Say it would be nothing. Crickets. Crickets until the product is finished or whatever you're executing is ready to be launched. So if they're not funding, fixing, actively building that project with you, they do not get a status update. And I want to also insert here that this is the opportune time. There are various offerings under the Purpose Midwife brand, and the primary of these for this year is the upcoming Clarity Masterclass, and this is typically for women who are seeking to find their footing. Sometimes we know what we're supposed to be doing, but sometimes it seems like we forget. If we're being honest, sometimes we forget that God has called us. And so I want to introduce this masterclass as like a recalibration. It's really for high capacity women who are navigating or transitioning across career, calling, identity, and really to ask some legacy questions about what are you building for the long term, and why does it matter at this point. So it's not something that you just step into, because it's really to pivot and to bloom in 2026. So I want us to really dive in for the full day to solve the problem of you're really evolving faster than the structure that you have, you're growing beyond the titles, you're outgrowing environments, but you're not confused. It's really, and I've lived it. God is basically restructuring you, and it's like you are changing, you are becoming. The old you cannot occupy the space to where God is taking you. So you have to get rid of the old definitions of yourself, of success, and that tension that you feel sometimes between who you're becoming and where you're coming from. So if that is you, I want you to come to this masterclass, because the promise of this class is that by the end of it, you're going to identify the season that you're in, release some misaligned commitments and assignments, define at least three strategic priorities, and then build a 90-day plan to execute for 2026. So it's just to live more spiritually grounded and strategically position. So it's about pivot, position, and bloom at the upcoming masterclass happening on April 18th. So if you are ready to realign, reposition, and build with precision, this is the masterclass for you, honey. Yes, ma'am. And also, we are rolling out cohort 2 of the Bloom Mentorship Program, diving into your mindset, your identity, and moving into what purpose is about, what the vision is God is saying to you, what the strategy that you need to implement, and then how to plant and to bloom with confidence. It is going to pull you and stretch you, and that is what God is requiring in this season. So cohort 2, that application period is now open. And if you just want something simple, you want to sit with one day and just do a whole strategy for your life, we can do that too. All right. So I want to talk about the assignment this week. If you've held your CEO meeting or simply have something to implement for the next 30 days, one whole month, you are not allowed to ask anyone their opinions about what you're implementing. You and God alone needs to be in your boardroom. The only ones that need to be in your boardroom right now for the next 30 days is you and God, you and the Holy Spirit. And just as a closing and parting message, that to execute and let the results make the noise. And also in the advice corner, just to be careful about words that are spoken to you, spoken over you, because sometimes persons come with a word, a prophetic word sometimes, and it is to pull information out of you for you to confirm or to say yea or nay that this is something that you, or what they're seeing is what you're supposed to, is it what you're doing. And I'm not saying that all prophetic words are like that, but you have to be at a place where if you're receiving a prophetic word, you understand that it's a confirmation from God, and you have to be in the secret place in your quiet time, be seeking God, to get the word, so that if anyone comes to you, it is simply a confirmation. So this is the end of this episode. It has been a task to record the video, but see you in episode 7. So, the assignment, I don't know if you've been doing your assignments. My mic is dead again. Thank you for stepping into the Amplified Ear with me today. If this episode sparked a fire in you, don't let it burn out.
The best way to support this movement is to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with a woman who is ready to find her voice. You can connect with me on social media at Nadia the Purpose Midwife to keep the conversation going. And remember, the muzzle is off, the silence is broken, and you have permission to take up space. Until next time, keep blooming.